this election is going to decide on the next general election. This is not an ordinary state election. If UMNO wins big, they are going to quit the government, cause a collapse of the government, and we are going to retreat. So that is basically the script. And therefore, as we think of what to vote in this election, we must also think that it is beyond who your Adun is. It is also beyond who your MB will be, or who will form the government. Eventually, it will be about the country. And this is, a matter of fact, Johorian mission, or Johorian responsibility to actually vote for a good outcome. And a lot of people then say, in the nation, yeah, the Prime Minister is not doing good. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do this. He's supposed to be like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. So I think if you forget everything I say tonight, I hope you remember the first thing I say to you. You know why Tony come first before me? I told him, you must speak first because I become very naggy these days. I scared I took up all his time. So that is why I say you go first. And then because run out of time, I cannot be naggy. That is why he went first. So if there is, if to avoid myself become naggy, right, I will stop at 9:40, so don't worry. But usually at 9:40 plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. Let's see. But anyway, if you forget everything I say today, actually, one message I want to tell all Malaysians, including those online, is this, is that election is not a subjective question. A lot of people go into exam, they can say, okay, what should the Prime Minister look like, your ideal Prime Minister? Then you can write, oh, he should be this. It's not true. Election, unfortunately, it's just like exam. It is an objective question. There must be an answer. You cannot select somebody that is not in your options. So of course, we have 4 options right now. One, of course, Anwar Ibrahim. Second, Zahid Ibrahim, Zahamidi, and then Hadi Awang, and then Hamza Zainuddin. That is the 4, so that is the 4 options you have. You cannot choose otherwise one. Even you say, I want to choose third force, but the third force cannot win enough vote. So for you to choose third force would be for you to give to one of those people that's less desirable. So the first message I want to bring home to all of you is that election is an objective question. As a voter and as a political party, we must see and act to see who among these and help who among these we want to be Prime Minister. So the second message, the second context I want to bring you before I go into all the other details is that in Malaysia, our electoral system is called first past the post system. What it means is that, okay, for example, who is the Johor Jaya voters here? Can I have a raise of hand? Johor Jaya, Stulang. What about the others? Kota Iskandar, Putri Wangsa, Tiram, Lakin, Machang. So we have all this. So you have all these different voters. You vote differently at different constituency. You vote. So eventually one person will win, right? So one person will win, let's say for example, Barisan 16,000 votes, Pakatan Harapan 15,000 votes, and then we have a Green Party 6,000 votes. Of course, we have a third force by 4,000 votes. So in the event that there is no third force, who will win in this fight? We will win because 4 plus 15, 19. That is the reason why that, let's say for example, if you think the red is not the most desirable option, okay? The yellow is most desirable option. But of your choice of selecting the yellow, you eventually select who? You get the blue to win the seat. That is also the reason why we say in the first past the post system, progressive votes must concentrate and put all the eggs into one basket. Otherwise, you will lose every seat, although you have vote shares. This is why we call first past the post system. Of course, if this system fair or the other electoral system better, that is the topic of another day. Because now we are going to an election with first past the post system. So what is the result of first past the post system? Then you will look at PRN last Johor election. Last Johor election, BN get only 43% of the vote share, and PH 26, PN 24, and MUDA 3.5. But eventually, can you see the seat outcome? That BN with 43% of vote share actually get 40 seats above two-third majority. Plus 2. Their two-third is 38, but now 40. That is the reason why I would like to urge all of you and all your friends, or all the people who believe that you believe in progressive value, in inclusive value, in the development. Therefore, I hope that I propose that you will vote for Pakatan Harapan. Because only us have the chance to beat the blue in every seat, in those seats that we contest. So if you choose the others, it will just not change anything, but bring the least desirable outcome for you, which is to bring BN back to power. They will win super majority if we split our votes. Okay, this is a scenario I want to put, this is a number. I just use Perling as an example. Perling example, why? Because this one is assuming the number of voters did not increase, does not increase, which is not true. But you just assume that it's the same number of voters, and the additional voters, they're proportional, their voting leaning is the same. Therefore, then you can simulate this, that if in the scenario 1, because now PN strategically not contest in some seats. Okay, why? Because then conservative votes go to BN. So there is a backdoor deal behind. So let's say, for example, because in Perling, PN is not putting up any candidates. Or there's no Perling voters here. In Perling, nobody. So assume that the PN votes that used to vote for PN, now 80% will go to BN because they are conservative in nature. So many of them will vote if they come out to vote, and 20% to PH. If you look at this, if PH voter share gets split, if it doesn't get split, we are still safe, we still hold. If it gets split 10%, BN would win Berlin. Can you see? And then eventually, what you want to tell PH is it doesn't help the thing. Eventually, who would win? BN would win. The conservative force would win. So this is just a simulation to illustrate how splitting of votes will help BN to reach supermajority in first past the post system. So a lot of people then say, "Hiya, never mind lah. You become government also not good lah. Let other people become government." So as an MP, I'm here to tell you, yes, indeed, we are not perfect. We are definitely not perfect, but there are things that we have done. So I would like to share with you today. In terms of institutional reform, a lot of people say, last time you fly the flag on institutional reform, you never do. Actually, we do quite a bit of it. So I'd like to introduce you some of this, but we are not going to go down like really like in detail. We have actually brought the Fiscal Responsibility Act, we amend Audit Act, we have new laws, Government Procurement Act, Government Service Efficiency Commitment, and Parliament Services Act. And allow me to explain a little bit in detail. Just now, Tony has this slide as well. Fiscal Responsibility Act. Because for the longest time, people in power simply spend money. Anwar is the first Prime Minister, put out a bill to limit its own power to simply spend money. That is Fiscal Responsibility Act, in short, is to prevent government or people in power simply spend money. It sets a budget deficit limit, it sets a government debt limit, it sets a financial guarantee, which Tony Paul likes to talk about long time ago, financial guarantee limit, and it also gives a minimum of how much you should spend on development. So the overall, just now Tony has said, our budget deficit actually went down because we have a responsible Prime Minister and government, and even put out an act to make sure future government also are responsible one. The other one, we amend Audit Act. Audit Act for the longest time, 30 over years, nobody amended it. 30 over years. But we amended it in, I think 2 years ago, that we expand the National Audit Department. We use the principle of follow the public money. Now, National Audit Department can actually audit 1,856 entities compared to 900 plus. What? Then people say, what is the return? Or what is the outcome of all this? Last year, after this come into force, last year alone, the Auditor General actually announced that through the Act, through the new Act and new clause in the Act, we actually successfully collect 159 million ringgit of people's money back to government coffer to use for better use for development and for schools, for hospitals. This is real change and real money. What about Government Procurement Act? Government Procurement Act also another act to prevent government simply spend money. Why? Because now you want to buy something, you must open tender. You have to open tender by default. So you cannot simply say, I want to direct award. If you want to direct award, you have to go through a lot of processes to go to get a direct award. And the other one, direct subcontracting. I don't know if you remember the time. When I remember the time when I go to Sarawak, I go to some rural places, I see the abandoned project arcade, right? We ask why there's project arcade. It's because why? The subcon cannot finish. Why? Because the contractor gets the pay. Then they subcontract out, not one layer. Then they subcontract out. Then they subcontract out. Then they subcontract out. Until eventually, the person that do the job doesn't really have the money to do the job. I have my cousin had a project, the subcon project, eventually don't get money. Why? Because the upper layer of subcontractor run out of money already. So, but with this law, you cannot give direct subcontracting. And of course, there's an appeal tribunal. Let's say, for example, if you lose a bid, you lose in an open tender, you lose a tender, you can even go and complain that this tender is not fair, and this appeal is open to the public. All right? So reporters also can go. So Government Service Efficiency and Commitment Act. This one is what? This one is like this. We always complain, man. We go to the government agencies. Why? Then we feel very frustrated because very bureaucratic. A lot of rules, different types of rules, right? So this act, which haven't come into force, because we just passed and then it'll take some time to come into force, this act would require the government to cut regulations minimum 25% every 3 years. And then a one-to-one principle. That means if you want to add a new regulation, you must remove another one. And then we have parliament reforms. We passed a Parliament Service Act. We have a Parliament Select Committee to make government, to provide stronger oversight to government. And then we allow debate or ministerial reply for Suhakam and Auditor General reports. This Parliament Service Act, I want to emphasize here. Parliament Service Act was a long time ago enacted in 1963. But 30 over years ago, in 1992, when UMNO has got its hegemony, that means UMNO ruler, that time they repealed it. So that the parliament essentially become the rubber stamp. Whatever the executive put out, you have a rubber stamp. Because why? Money come from there. Parliament's money and budget come from the executive. And the parliament, the people that handles the parliament are civil servants. If they are government servants from the government of the day. If the person that you get paid to from is actually your boss, is actually the person you want to provide oversight, would you be very strict to them? No, you just want to put the rubber stamp. That is the reason why we reintroduce Parliament Service Act. And again, this is only when Pakatan Harapan is in the government. Is that we push and we want to limit our own government power so that Parliament make government accountable and we have a separation of power between executive and legislative. This is very boring, so I must continue, finish it. For the children, for the ladies here, we care very much about our children. And do you know that this government is, I think, the government that table the most amendments to help protect our children. And these are the three. And to tell you the truth, Sexual Offences Against Children Act, in these 3 years only, is being amended 3 times already. So we do not only care about economy like Tony Pua, we also, not only institutional reform, no, he is also very caring, but we also cares a lot about the children who has no voice and no votes. And only a government that's caring enough would do that. So, and of course there are more. We also passed a bill, historic bill, because for the longest time, Malaysia actually criminalized suicide. This one nearby is what river? What river nearby here? No river. Huh? Okay, if you want to commit suicide, what do you do? Huh? No, never think about that, right? Let's say, for example, you climb up, you want to commit suicide. Then suddenly somebody come and say, hey, don't commit suicide, don't commit suicide. Then if the police come, you are actually, if the police charge you, you are actually against our Kanun Keseksaan, Penal Code, because you commit suicide. Commit suicide also cannot. Last time, actually, you can be jailed and fined. So we are the government that decriminalize suicide. Oh, of course, I think many of you did not read it on a newspaper, but actually this is the one, because it doesn't catch a lot of attention. It's just become a headline and then it passed. So a lot of people don't think that, don't know about this. So actually we decriminalize suicide because we believe that those who want to commit suicide need rehabilitation and recovery and not charging and be criminalized. Of course, the other one that we promised before the last election was to give citizenship to the children, to the babies that's born abroad by a Malaysian mother. It used to be, last time, not long time ago, until we changed the constitution, only the babies born to the Malaysian father, can be conferred citizenship automatically. If you are a lady or a woman, Malaysian woman, if you have a non-Malaysian or foreign husband and you have babies outside of Malaysia, they do not get citizenship automatically. So before the last election, we say, okay, we promise that we will do it, and sure enough, we actually have the Constitution Amendment on giving the same right to men and women so that their children being born abroad can be conferred citizenship automatically. Of course, we have Anti-Bullying Act. This is 6 months, record-breaking, a lot. Okay. Again, I think great mind thinks alike. I always like to say me and Tony same, which is actually not the same, he's greater. Okay, but anyway, it's really this cup that we are looking. Is it half full or half empty? Sometimes we just hope that it gets full, but it just doesn't work that way. It takes a long time, but we are trying to do a lot of things in a very, very short span of time. Of course, for the progressive values, the government, actually for the past 4 years, we have spent and allocated 400 million for non-Islamic places of worship. And then we also really, really good in holding concerts. I'm not sure if you know. Actually, last year, there were 450 concerts being held in Malaysia. That means every day more than one. And that because we also reduced the entertainment tax for the overseas tourist artists, 25% to 10%, and then for local artists, not 100% tax, 100% exemption, so zero tax. And then what do we earn? 1.72 billion ringgit. So a lot of economic activities that come from the concert economy. So give you a very clear example, the Rain Rave Music Festival. Of course, this gentleman, of course, say a lot of things about it, all this, but eventually the government hold up to the pressure of the conservative force in Malaysia and let this music festival go on. And what is the result to the economy? We spent 11 million ringgit to sponsor this Rain Rave, 4 million from the industry. What is the return, economic multiplier? 392 million. And what is the ROI? 36x. So what other better investment than this? And the government is willing, as long as something that, can make money, practical, we do that. All right? So, of course, this one, Coldplay. Any of you know Coldplay here? I just pretend I know, actually I don't know. But apparently it's a very famous band. I very China, I listen to all Chinese songs. I know 五月天魔. But anyway, so when Coldplay wants to come and play, what does PAS say? Conservative force, hey, cancel the Coldplay concert. What did our Prime Minister do? Our Prime Minister actually do a video to welcome them to Malaysia. So this is going against the conservative force. This is not just talking, it's really standing their ground, not because he's being progressive and practical, knowing that this will bring return to the country. So I would like to remind all of us of UMNO hegemony. I would like to remind you of the time before 2018, when one person can get so much from the government coffer. Because why? Absolute power corrupt absolutely. And I want to bring back this. Do you all still remember? Still remember or not? Yes. After GE18, we watched the TV. Why? Wow, so nice. Wow, so many bags. You know what is this bag? This one is an orange box. Inside, there's what? There's Hermes. These are all the Hermes signature bags, yeah? Signature box. Oh, you see, 所有的金银珠宝, jewelries, cash, everything come from Najib's house. And there is one picture that I can never forget is this guy. Do you also remember him? Have you all seen this? This is 中国报, 中国报记者有来吗今天？没有啊，就来啊。This is 中国报摄影师。the cameraman. Wow, very heavy. What is inside? Jewelries, cash from a sitting prime minister office, house, residence. So that was the time, 2018. 2018 is not a very good time. It's all of us, especially Johorian. Long time, every time vote for MCA. This time, vote for a change. And that's what we can. We know that a sitting prime minister has so much of cash and jewelries and bags. How much is it? Put a value, 1.1 billion ringgit. What is 1.1 billion ringgit? If you buy MyV, you got 22,000 MyV. If you have an affordable house, 300,000, you can give to 3,667 people. If you want to give good, talented students scholarship, you get to give 100,000 each student, 11,000 of them. That is the magnitude of what is inside the house. Outside of it, I'm not very sure. So eventually we get Najib conviction just end of last year, 809 page that say Najib made Attila the Hun look like a choir boy. Yeah, so they found guilty and 165 years of jail. Of course, you do it concurrently, it's 15 years, and then 11.4 billion fine. Those were the time. So because we all believed in change, and that we voted and went all out, get our friends, get our family, get our children, grandchildren to come back and vote, we get to see justice being done in Malaysia. For the longest time, Malaysians don't believe in justice anymore. But because of this, we start to believe there is still justice in Malaysia. Democracy still work in Malaysia as long as we don't give up. Of course, then it bring us back to Johor. Your MB say what? Johor UMNO says Najib still deeply missed. And for those of you who actually have MCA candidates in your constituency, they are really nice guys. I know they are nice guys. They probably serve you. They give you. But look at this. MCA urges members to attend solidarity rally for who? For Najib. So it is not only about who you want to be seeing around in your coffee shops, pasar malam. It's about what is right and wrong for this country. Which direction is right and which option, A, B, C, D, is best for the country. So I don't leave this to you. What Winston Churchill said, perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection is the enemy of progress. A lot of people, after we become government, want the Prime Minister, PMX, to be the perfect man he could ever be. Even in a coalition government like us, we are not a government by ourselves. We want the Prime Minister to be the perfect man. But no man can be perfect and no government can be perfect. But there are progress. So we spend the whole night, 5 minutes late already. But we make progress. If there is one thing that you want, I hope that you go back and know is that we made progress. We made progress, and perfection is the enemy of progress. If you want today to say, okay, never mind, you all not meet my expectation, I stay at home, I vote for third force, I do this, I do that. Eventually, what is going to happen is we will bring back UMNO hegemony. And that is what they want. Because an UMNO hegemony will allow them to 只手遮天. Understand? One hand hold the whole sky. So to allow them to 为所欲为, it means whatever they want to do, they can do. So we cannot. So if there is one thing that we need to know, is that maybe this round when we vote, perhaps I want to propose to all the people, voters of Johor, to vote thinking that this is an election that matters to the country, that will eventually decide who is the ABCD, and that the country has made some progress, although it's not perfect. And that I also hope that all of you here will see the harapan and bangka. Can or not? Can or not? We must move forward and not backward. That is the reason this slogan for this election is Johor ke depan. Why? We don't want to go back to UMNO hegemony. Do you want to go back to UMNO hegemony? Do you want to go back? No. Although it is imperfect, we must move forward. That is why we have Johor ke depan undi. Johor ke depan undi. Johor ke depan undi. Thank you. With that, I'd like to thank you and we'll open for discussion.